have kind of a smaller side harvest. The garden is just now really starting to ramp up to where I'm having to pick things daily, every other day and whatnot. And so I thought it'd be fun to show you guys kind of how I keep up with stuff in the garden that I do not use or eat right away or like for our weekly meals. So these are all the extra green beans that I have. Now it's not a ton, but it is enough to where I do not want this to go to waste, and I know we're not going to eat them the rest of the week. And so we are going to can these green beans. I'm not sure how many cans we'll get, maybe 3-4-ish. So definitely both of these are going to be smaller batches. And then I have some kind of miscellaneous stuff in here. So it's kind of the season where like not all the tomatoes are growing, but I get like 2 from here, 3 from here and stuff. So it's kind of like a random number of tomatoes. So we are going to can green beans, and then we're also going to make a poblano pepper salsa. I have these beautiful grown poblano peppers that are gorgeous, and I do not want these to go to waste. Poblano peppers have such a unique flavor to them. I do not like spiciness, and so for me, poblano peppers are really kind of the like go-to for me. If you take out the seeds, they're really not that spicy. I have had some that are, but usually they're not. And then I have some tomatoes. I have these hot peppers, which we will use in the salsa, and then I have a couple little baby jalapenos. So we are going to roast these, make them a nice salsa, and end up canning them. So hopefully you guys stick around and we'll see kind of this small harvest canning today. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is put my poblano peppers on a foiled sheet, and as well as my little jalapenos. I'm going to save these guys as raw for the salsa. Now, obviously my little tiny jalapenos are going to roast way faster than the big poblanos. So I'm just gonna keep an eye out for it. These guys should not take very long, but I'm gonna go ahead and put them in the oven at 400 degrees and then just kind of keep an eye on, see when these start blistering and then when the poblanos start blistering. While the poblanos are roasting, I'm gonna go ahead and snap all the peas. So you just take the ends of the green beans and looks like this. And then once I get them all snapped, I will then clean these very well because there are definitely grass and dirt and stuff on here. So they're gonna need a really good bath before we can them. Almost forgot that I have to sterilize my cans, so I went ahead and filled up my canning pot, put it on high. We're gonna get this to a boil so that way we can sterilize the jars. Now this is a 21 quart canning, just regular canning pot. I got it for Walmart for like $20. So we are going to do a water bath canning today. Now normally you should not do water baths for green beans because anything that is non-acid needs to be pressurized. So like green beans, right? But our salsa has a lot of acid in it from the tomatoes and the peppers and things like that. So the salsa is fine, but the green beans usually you will want to pressure can. Now I do not have a pressure canner. They're like $100 or something like that, and I just kind of always have found my way around pressure canning like today. So this is going to be kind of a different green bean recipe. So if you do not have a pressure canner or just don't like pressure canning, this would be a really helpful video for you guys for green beans. Now the goal that we are going to try and do is try and make the green beans acid enough and water bath them long enough to where it does not need to be pressurized. So I have done this recipe many times. This is actually a old tradition recipe from my probably great grandparents, if not longer than them. So I know this recipe works, it is safe, but I do know the whole canning rules and things like that. But there is some things that you can kind of go around it, and I'm going to show you guys that today. Okay, so you guys can't really see the stove. This microwave is in the worst position. I don't really know why they put it here when we bought the house. I'm also 6 foot, so like me being taller than the microwave just does not feel right. But for you guys that are new canners, you have to sterilize your cans because any bacteria or anything that happened while they were making them, shipping them to your house, sitting in your garage, you do not want your food preserved with that gross bacteria. So I've always sterilized my cans this way. There are a couple other ways you can do it. I know you can bake your cans. Some people also do like a vinegar bath with that. I don't really know. This is just the way I've been taught. I was raised, and so the way I'm sticking to it. And all it is you just boil water in your canning jar, and you literally just stick your cans in here. Now, you can, I think you need to do it for, I think around 15 minutes, give or take some time. Now, I usually do it longer than it says because I just keep them in here until I'm ready to can. Some canning rules, like 101, is so if you have a hot item, you need to have hot cans. If you have a cold item going in it, you should have cold cans. So if the salsa cools down enough, then, which it probably will, we will pull the cans and let them cool down before we put the salsa in there. That just prevents cracking. It's not really anything to do with bacteria, I don't think. Maybe it is, I don't know. But from what I've heard, it's usually to prevent the cracking of the glass. So I am going to sterilize probably 3 jars. I'm using the 12 quart jars, so like the 32 ounces. Yeah, I think 3 will be enough. I should probably do 4 just in case. Later on you'll see I probably need a 4th one, but it's okay. I'm only gonna do 3 cans. I'm just gonna let this sit and just boil for the rest of the time that the salsa takes. They're starting to blister on a side, so I am gonna go ahead and flip them around. And then while the green beans, I have them soaking in just a little vinegar water bath to clear off the dirt and stuff. While those are soaking, I will probably... Okay, so we are just going to cut up the tomatoes. Now, if you do not have a garden, you could easily just buy these ingredients from the store. So what I would do is I would actually just buy diced tomatoes like this one. I kind of have it here on the side in case I need more tomatoes in my salsa. Hopefully not, but we'll see. So I am just going to kind of cube these guys. I have these tomatoes and I have a couple other big ones in the fridge that I'm going to use. Now, it does not really matter how you cut these because it's salsa and it is going to get all blended up anyways. Potatoes are diced up. I did go ahead and add just a couple. I used about half of this can in here, so I would say it's probably about 2.5 cups of tomatoes in there. And then I'm going to use 2 really large hot peppers and a small hot pepper, and then don't forget I have the 2 jalapeno peppers. Okay, so I have all the stuff chopped up. Now, I'm going to use these cans for the salsa. I like to use smaller ones for the salsa because it's kind of rarely you're eating a large batch of salsa unless you're like hosting or something. Where me and my husband like to just be able to pull these ones out during football games and things like that. It's like the perfect amount for us. So these are the half pints. So they're 8 ounces. And I'm going to throw probably 6 of them just to be safe. I don't think we'll need all 6, but I'm gonna throw 6 of them in the boiling pot with the other ones, and we will get these guys sterilized as well. Okay, so I just pulled the poblanos out of the oven. I'm gonna let them cool for just like a couple minutes, not too long, in the little jalapenos. And then you'll see, but we are actually going to skin these guys, chop them up, and put them in our pot with all of our other goodies. Okay, so I kind of just take a spoon. I have a spoon from when I de-seeded the other peppers, and I just kind of drag it alongside of the pepper, and it takes the skin off. I saw someone comment saying that you can actually dehydrate these and make them a seasoning, and that would be so good. I'm not gonna do it this time just because I don't really have that many to make it worth it, but if you have a lot of poblano peppers, definitely something I would do, especially because I'm all about like not wasting anything. So that would be really fun. So yeah, and then they're kind of cool enough now to where I can just hand and then pull the stem out. We will get the seeds out of them here in a second, but I'm just going to do the skins first. We're also going to do the same thing for the jalapenos. You can leave the jalapeno skin on. I definitely have before, but like that one we might leave on. This is one of my favorite parts of roasting peppers, is taking the skin off. Okay, so I was just about to pull out the cans to let them cool off, and you guys see how there's like this like white cloudiness on the cans? Now we have a well, and so the water here is insanely hard, and I kind of completely forgot about it because this is my first time canning in our new house. And so this is one of the best tips I've ever gotten for canning. It is use cream of tartar in the water, and it will take out that cloudiness. Now I'm hoping, you're supposed to do this before you put the cans in, so I'm hoping that it still works, that the cans already have it like on them. So we are going to try it out, but I know it for sure works if you put it in the water before the cans. I gotta get this can back in there with two hands, but definitely use that hack if you kind of have that like cloudiness on them. It almost kind of looks like this. You will not be able to wash it off your cans. You think you're like, oh, I'll just wipe it off when it's canned. It will not. So definitely deal with it now. Okay, while the glasses are hopefully fixing themselves, I went ahead and chopped up a whole onion and about 6 garlic cloves, and I put salt and oregano in here. Now I didn't have any fresh oregano, so I did just use like seasoning oregano. Totally what is in here right now is about 2 cups of tomatoes, about 2 cups of hot peppers / poblano peppers, 1 large white onion, 6 cloves of garlic, some salt, and oregano. Cilantro is also a very common thing used in salsa. My entire family hates cilantro. I can't even taste it. I know there's like a whole chemical reaction with cilantro, so I just don't put it in it, so that way that they will eat it as well, or else it will just be me eating it, and that is too much salsa for me to eat. So since the jars are being kind of finicky because I forgot about it, I am going to go ahead and simmer this. It's going to add a lot more flavor if you can simmer it. Now you don't have to, but I definitely would. So I'm going to simmer this on the stove for about 10 minutes. But because it is going to be a hot salsa, like temperature hot salsa, that means the jars are also going to have to remain hot. So I'm not going to pull them from that water until we are ready to put the salsa inside cans. Alright, our salsa is simmering. I just set the timer for 10 minutes. I went ahead and fished out the big jars because we can go ahead and do the green beans. So I'm going to let them cool down just for a little bit. Good news, it looks like the cream of tartar worked mostly. These are pretty clear. You can kind of see a little bit of cloudiness on the sides, but way better than it was going to. So glad I caught that when I did. I'm going to start filling our green beans up. So I am just going to use my hand for these. There's no real sense of using the other part for the liquid, so I'm just gonna get as many green beans in this jar as possible, especially since we only have 3. Like I said, I probably am gonna need a 4th one, but We are gonna make it work. Okay, now that I got my jars filled up, and I did only need 3 jars, yay. Okay, anyways, we are gonna do 1 teaspoon of canning salt. Now it does need to be canning salt, it cannot be regular salt. Canning salt has no fillers, preservatives, no pretty much fluff to it. It is literally just pure salt. And so you absolutely need that for canning, so that way there's nothing interfering with like the canning process or adding bacteria to it, things like that. So I'm gonna add 1 teaspoon to every jar. I'm going to add a capful of white vinegar to each of my green beans. And this is because we are water bathing these guys. So this is gonna help not only with the acid part of water bathing, but also it's gonna help keep their green color. So now I'm going to fill each one of these jars up with filtered water all the way to... Okay, so they are all filled up with water. Now I just took some white vinegar on a paper towel and I'm just going to wipe the rims off. This way it gets a really nice seal. There's nothing on it interfering with it. And then we are going to place our lids. And you are just going to close it about finger tight. And we're good. Okay, my salsa is also ready. So I am going to take my immersion blender and we are going to blend this up to whatever consistency you like. If you like more chunky salsa, make it more chunky. If not, then it's thinner, literally whatever. Yeah, now be careful because it is hot. Okay, now I always recommend at this stage to taste test it. Now obviously it is hot, so it's not gonna taste exactly how it is when it's gonna be cold. But this kind of lets you know if it needs more salt, if it's too hot, nothing. If it's too hot, kind of gonna have to go back and add more tomatoes, but that's a lot of work, so. It's not hot at all. So that's good. That means I can eat it. These are pretty hot cans. The salsa is still warm and we are just going to fill up all of our cans with our delicious salsa. That filled up 6 jars perfectly. So same thing we did with the green beans. I'm going to take a paper towel and some vinegar and just wipe around the edges. With salsa, this is, or any kind of liquid canning, this step is really important because liquid gets everywhere. So see, definitely could have interfered, or for surely interfered with the sealing process of the cans. So. And then we are going to do the same thing where we're going to do finger tight, and we are going to put this in the water bath for a total of 15 minutes. Now, if you're doing the exact same thing as me and you're doing the salsa and the green beans at the same time, make sure you do the salsa first because the green beans take an entire 3 hours in the water bath. Which that is definitely the downside of not having the pressurized canner, is that it does take Okay, so all of my salsa is done. They are very hot. I just grabbed one, so I'm gonna let them cool off and then I'll show you guys. And then I'm gonna drop the green beans in here. Again, they have to be for 3 hours. Constant boil, rolling, 3 hours. So I pretty much check it about every 45 minutes to an hour. Just make sure there's enough water. The lid, I definitely recommend, so that way, do you hear that? Best noise in the world. Definitely recommend a lid so that way your entire house isn't a million degrees. Also, it kind of helps to keep the water and everything in here. So we are going to wait for the jars to pop, make sure that they all got a good seal. I've heard one, and it was this one. If you guys don't know how to check, you can push on the top and see. Try not to push on it though until, give it some time, and then they should pop, and it's the best noise. Once those pop, you can actually go ahead and seal them tight on the sides. They are sealed without the rings, and so if you want to take the rings off, you can. I always just keep mine on just to keep them together, but I'll see you guys in 3 hours for the green beans. Okay, we did it. Here is my finished green beans after 3 hours and my finished salsa. Delicious. So that it definitely took me, well, the green beans take 3 hours, so that in itself takes a while. But other than that, it's really nice to do on like the weekends. I'm a teacher, so I have summers off, and I try and get as much as this done before I start school again. But the garden usually goes crazy about the week I start school, if not the week after I start school. And so I usually plan on doing these either Saturday or Sundays. It's kind of fun. It's really therapeutic for me to can, and I love watching the outcome of it and just getting to a canning closet full of things again for winter. So I really enjoy this, and I hope you guys learned something new, enjoyed some. If you tried any of these recipes, let me know how you guys like it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.